Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Many people think excellence is that golden trophy you hold at the end of a marathon. But for me, excellence has always been that silent decision you make when no one is watching. It's what you do after the lights go out, when it's just you and your conscience in the room. What changed my life wasn't grand awards, it was small habits. I realized that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary lies in the micro decisions you repeat until they become who you are. I wasn't the smartest in the room. In fact, I was rejected from more than 30 jobs. Even KFC said no to me. But what no one could take from me was my ability to keep trying every single day. No glamour, no audience. Excellence in my world is silent persistence. It's not a gala event. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't do it once a year, you do it every day. And each repetition shapes you. What I discovered, and what you need to understand, is that real productivity and self-discipline don't come from motivation. They come from commitment to your identity. If you want to grow, to become better, you need to decide to be someone who does, not just someone who dreams. A growth mindset demands consistency, not occasional intensity. And that applies to everything: career, health, relationships. I remember saying at an event, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. Because that's the truth. The world won't change to please you. Success won't knock on your door just because you're ready. You have to be the kind of person who adapts, who evolves, who reinvents themselves every single day. Excellence doesn't wait for the right moment. It is the moment. And you know what's the most curious thing? When you start living this lifestyle, something magical happens. You stop chasing success. It starts chasing you. Because success isn't a finish line, it's a natural consequence of invisible habits done every day for years. And that's where true transformation begins. If you win the morning, you win the day. That simple realization completely changed my life. I noticed that the way I started my day wasn't just a routine, it was a declaration of how I would show up in the world. Productivity doesn't begin with a to-do list, it begins with how you rise. That first battle with your alarm clock, that's your first victory or your first defeat. And it sets the tone for everything else. There were years when I hit the snooze button like it was a reward. But deep down, every time I did that, I was postponing my own growth. When I started getting up on the first ring, even when I didn't want to, I realized I was training my willpower, not my body, my mind. And that shift in mindset gave me something more powerful than motivation. It gave me command over my day. What most people don't understand is that these early hours are sacred. They're not crowded with distractions. There's silence, space, and energy. And if you use that time to build your personal growth, to set your intentions, your day flows with clarity. Goal setting becomes easier. Focus sharpens. Your emotional intelligence strengthens. It's like giving your spirit a head start before the noise of the world begins. Once, during a conversation, I said, if not now, when? If not me, who? And I meant it. Why wait for the perfect morning to begin owning your life? Why wait for motivation to magically arrive? Taking charge of your first hours is a form of personal empowerment. It tells your brain, I am in control, not my comfort. That's how self-discipline is built. Not in theory, but in practice. You want success? Then train yourself to act without needing to feel ready. That first hour can either be a launch pad or a lull. It's your choice. And when you build the habit of showing up strong right from the start, it ripples across every decision you make throughout the day. The morning isn't just the beginning of a day, it's the beginning of your legacy. People ask me all the time, Jack, what's the secret to success? And I always tell them, it's not luck, it's not genius, it's discipline. True self-discipline is doing what needs to be done even when every part of you wants to stop. It's that quiet power you build when no one's watching, when the applause is gone, and all that's left is your own decision to show up again. Productivity is built on this foundation. In the early days of building Alibaba, I didn't have resources. I didn't have a powerful network, but I had discipline. I made decisions without waiting for motivation. I didn't negotiate with myself. My mission was too big to let mood swings dictate my actions. And let me tell you something. Self-discipline isn't restrictive. It's freedom. Because once it becomes your habit, it stops being a choice. It becomes who you are. You see, most people want to wait until they feel like it. But growth doesn't wait. Personal development requires urgency. Emotional intelligence, resilience, even gratitude, they all demand consistency. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and the life you dream of. You don't build that bridge with wishes. You build it with action, repeated, relentless action. If I had waited for the perfect day to begin, Alibaba would never exist. I moved forward not because I was fearless, but because I acted despite fear. And that's what separates those who change the world from those who just talk about it. Your success mindset starts with how you treat your commitments. Not when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because that's when identity is forged. So the next time your mind whispers excuses, remind yourself, this is not a debate. This is a declaration. You want transformation? Build your discipline like a muscle. Push through the resistance. The harder it feels, the stronger you become. And just when most people give up, you'll be the one building momentum. In the beginning, I saw many people around me burn with intensity for a week and then disappear. They started their projects like a firework, loud, bright, but gone too soon. And I realized something very important. The people who truly succeed aren't those who go hard for a few days, but those who go steady every single day. It's the invisible, repetitive effort that wins over time. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not the kind of thing that gets you applause, but it's the foundation of every meaningful success I've ever seen. Personal growth, resilience, emotional intelligence, these don't come from a weekend seminar. They come from showing up daily, even when you're tired, even when no one notices, especially then. Success habits don't shout. They whisper every morning when you choose to persist. There was a time when I felt invisible. I was building Alibaba with no recognition, no fame, no external validation. But I kept showing up because I knew something others didn't. Progress is invisible at first. It grows underground, like roots. And only those who don't stop ever get to see the tree break through the soil. Self-belief is built in that darkness, through daily improvement and faith in the unseen. So many people quit because they don't see results quickly. But that's like digging a well and walking away just before you hit water. Real transformation happens after the boredom, after the doubts. If you want life transformation, you have to embrace repetition. Not just when it's exciting, but especially when it's not. That's where greatness is cultivated. I often tell my team, focus like water, flow every day. Water wears down mountains not with force, but with persistence. If you're willing to be the drop that doesn't quit, you'll eventually shape the stone. You don't have to be intense. You just have to be consistent. And when you do that, day after day, you stop chasing success and start becoming it. This was one of the toughest lessons I ever had to learn. Life doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you tolerate. It shocked me at first, but the more I observed people and results, the clearer it became. If you tolerate laziness, you live below your potential. If you tolerate distractions, your productivity suffers. Your standards shape your reality. In my early years, I tolerated too many things: excuses, doubts, people who didn't believe in me. And each time I accepted less than I was capable of, my dreams slipped further away, until I drew a line. I said, "This is it. From now on, I raise my standards," and everything changed. Because once you stop accepting mediocrity from yourself, you force your life to level up. I'm not saying it's easy, but self-discipline and mental resilience begin when you choose discomfort over convenience. If you want self-improvement, you can't tolerate weak habits. If you want success, you can't tolerate average effort. You must declare, "This is not good enough for who I'm becoming." And then you act like it every single day. Success mindset is not just about motivation. It's about intolerance, refusing to accept less than the best version of yourself. Personal development isn't about feeling good. It's about becoming better. And that happens when you raise your internal bar, even when the world is content to let you stay small. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. I believe that with all my heart. But a dream without standards is just a wish. The moment you raise your standards, your habits change. Your focus sharpens. Your decisions reflect your vision. And suddenly, your life begins to mirror your highest values. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Wherever it goes, your energy flows. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I spent too much energy worrying about competition, about critics, about the things I couldn't control. And guess what? Those things grew. The stress multiplied. The doubts deepened. Because focus is like fertilizer. It grows whatever you water. When I finally understood that, I shifted everything. I stopped feeding my fears and started investing in solutions. I focused on growth, on creativity, on my mission. And almost like magic, my path started to clear. That's the power of attention. Most people think their problem is lack of time, but in truth, it's misdirected focus. Productivity doesn't depend on how many hours you have. It depends on what you do with them. If you want to become unstoppable, protect your focus like it's gold. Build systems around it. Use morning routines to gain clarity. Say no to distractions that dilute your purpose. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what truly matters. Self-awareness helps you recognize what pulls you off course. Self-discipline helps you stay on it. When your focus aligns with your purpose, you become powerful. I once told a group of entrepreneurs, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. That's the secret. You don't need to change the world. You need to change your lens. How you see, how you choose, how you react. Gratitude helps. Visualization sharpens your mental map. And once you focus on progress, even small steps feel like breakthroughs. So ask yourself, where is your focus right now? Is it helping you grow or keeping you stuck? Because what you pay attention to, day in, day out, will shape who you become. That's not theory. That's how transformation works. Have you ever noticed that the more you think, the less you do? I've been there. In the early days, I overanalyzed everything, plans, risks, possibilities, and every extra thought added a new layer of fear. But the moment I started taking action, small steps, imperfect moves, something changed. Doubt shrinks when you move. Fear fades when you act. The greatest breakthroughs I had with Alibaba didn't come from endless planning. They came from taking the next step, even when it felt uncertain. You don't need all the answers. You just need momentum. The power of personal growth, self-belief, and goal setting lies not in clarity, but in motion. When you act, you create clarity. When you wait, you feed hesitation. I used to tell my team, don't wait for the perfect idea. Don't wait to feel ready. 5 seconds. Decide. Move. Adjust later. You see, every second you hesitate gives space for fear to speak louder. But when you act, even with trembling hands, you interrupt the fear. You gain confidence through movement, not through thinking. People ask me how I overcame failure. I didn't wait to feel courageous. I acted anyway. That's emotional intelligence in motion. Self-discipline isn't just about doing what's right, it's about doing it now. Life transformation begins the moment you stop negotiating with fear and start dancing with uncertainty. Want to know what separates achievers from dreamers? Action. One step, one decision, one bold move. And once you experience the momentum of daily improvement,